My name is Barbara Senrick, and I'm the CEO and the founder of the Change Resilient Advantage Group. And I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're here to join us. We also today have Christian Hauser on the call with us. He works at Alcon. He is the head of a surgical service and support team in Europe. He's responsible for an organization of 200 people. And in full transparency, Christian and I, we've known each other for many, many years. I am from Switzerland originally. We used to work together. At the time, I was managing PR and patient advocacy for Europe, for surgical pharma, and what was the third division? Contact lenses. I don't remember what the name. Vision care. There we go. Exactly. So yes. So we are here, right? For those of you who are wondering, yes, these monthly events are indeed part of our marketing strategy. That said, it's not a sales event, so no worries. I'm never going to sell to you on these calls because personally I don't like to be sold to, and therefore I'm not going to make other people endure that. KK, great to see you. Hello. Part of our marketing strategy, but it's really born from, let me see if I can mute. Actually, if I may ask, if you, for right now, just if you want to mute yourself so we have a little bit less background noise, that would be amazing. These interactive online conversations with senior leaders are really born from the desire to share insights from the work that we do with our clients and also to provide value to you. And in fact, and at the end of the event, I'm going to ask you for like a 3-question, like 1-minute survey, right? We ask you like, what are the topics that you're interested in? And like, what is useful to you so that we can present value to you? And actually, Rob was here last time and he said a case study would be a great idea and that would be beneficial. We're like, let's do a case study. So I reached out to Christian because we worked together last year, and I said, would you be open to be on here to share about the work that we've done? So that's what we're here to do today. I'm excited for you to learn about what we did. We go into more details, but briefly, Christian and his organization went through really a transformational change, and we talk about what that looked like in a little bit. And Alcon in-house managed the technical side of the change, right? So we didn't manage the change, but we managed the people side of the change, the engagement side of the change, to make sure people are brought along, because that is a huge and important part of when you're going through change. So before we go into that, let me quickly share what our hour together looks like. We will start off with a quick energizer, which I have already given you a sentence about in the agenda if you got the email yesterday. Then we'll have some time for, I'll interview questions. I have some questions for him to get us started. And then really we want to make sure we have enough time for you guys to be able to ask questions so that we can get into some of the details. And then we are finishing with that 1-minute survey. And if we have time, we can also open it up for another discussion about what some of your key takeaways are. With that said, I want to give you 3 reasons why we're doing this energizer. And so first of all, some of you are in Europe, but also some of you, like it's already 11 o'clock here on the East Coast of the US, have already had a whole morning behind. And so it's really to become present in the moment. That is one reason to just leave everything behind of what's happened so far, and we will center ourselves. That's the first reason. The second reason is that I will say, and Christian can certainly attest to that, it's going to be a little bit weird. And I want to give you that heads up. It's probably something you've never done before, never seen before. And if you really don't want to do it, I'll give you an out, but I highly recommend you try it. It's uncomfortable because it's new. And today we're talking about change and going through massive transformational change. And that is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because we have a creative mind and a subconscious mind, right? The creative mind is where all the decision maker power sits, is where we problem solve. It's also very slow. It only processes 40 bits in a second. And our subconscious mind is very fast. It's the habitual mind. It's like, it's what's always been there. That's where our programs are hosted. And that operates at 40 million bits in a second. So our subconscious mind, our habitual mind, is 1 million times faster than our creative mind, our executive mind, if you will, right? And so guess who's running the show? It's our subconscious mind, right? 95% of the time when we're not paying attention and if we're not focused and we're making a conscious decision, I'm focused on this, our subconscious mind is running the show. And therefore because it's running the show, it's always looking out, are we safe? Because that comes from prehistoric times when we were in the savannah somewhere trying to fight a saber-toothed tiger. Our subconscious mind is making sure we're alive and we're safe. And so when we're experiencing something that is new, all our signals go off and like, danger zone, I don't have a program for this. And therefore it feels weird and it feels uncomfortable. And that's exactly what happens to us when we're going through change. So I want to give you an experience. We did some of that with Christian's team. So I want to give you an experience. That's the third reason why we're doing it. And it's how we do things. And at the Change Resilient Advantage Group, and I take pride in that, we do things a little bit differently. Einstein famously said, do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. That's literally the definition of insanity. And we do things differently. And I want to make sure you can get an experience of that. So with that said, I know that was a long intro, giving you a lot of reasons why we're doing this. I invite you, if you can, like stand up, and we're going to move a little bit. And with that movement, we'll also say positive affirmations because that subconscious mind is running the show. Like, we all have 1 million thoughts. We have 70,000 thoughts in our head every day. So right now, as you're sitting there, like, you're probably thinking, why am I sitting here? And what am I doing? So I want to make sure we say out affirmations that are presencing ourselves, and we're creating that body-mind connections to get us into the present moment. So I'll walk you through it, and just give it a try. I hope you'll have some fun with it. All right. Can you hear the music? Awesome. Okay, let's see. Here we go. We start out with a jumping jack, and if a jumping jack is not appropriate, you can just tap it out. I also want to make sure you're not super sweaty, whatever feels comfortable or appropriate for you. Good. Now here we say, I am present in the moment. I am present in this moment. I am present in this moment. That's it. And if your mind starts wandering, bring it back and really stay focused on what you're saying. You're putting the intention in to being present in this moment. You got it. All right, shake it out. Now we do a second move. So this movement is it's a jumping jack. Now we're doing uppercuts. So you can use your whole body, lean into it. Good. Nice. Here we say, I'm inspired to be here. I'm inspired to be here. Nice. I'm inspired to be here. So repeat it in your mind. You're being inspired to be here, taken away from your desk for an hour to learn something new. That's it. Good. Now we're putting those two moves together. It's 8 counts each. I will count you through it. So check this out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Back to jumping jacks. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Uppercuts. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Jumping jacks. You got it. That looks pretty good. Uppercuts. Now the same thing, and we're adding the affirmations back in. I'm present in this moment. Uppercuts. I'm inspired to be here. I am present in this moment. Uppercuts. I'm inspired to be here. Excellent. That's it. Give your neighbors a Zoom high five to the side. Good. Up. Awesome. That's it. That's it. Good. So I would love to, before we start, I would love to hear, how was that? If anybody feels inspired to share how that experience was based on what either raise your digital head. I cannot see everybody, I cannot see all of you. You can raise your digital head or hand, or Sabi, you like that? Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Feel free to unmute yourself. You can actually, yes, use your reactions. Jumping jacks, what an excellent choice. Brings back memories. Yes. Peter and I also used to work together. I used to lead those, I call them quick movement breaks during the day, just to bring some energy into the workday. Excellent. All right. So thank you so much for being good sports, for trying this out, for stepping a little bit into outside of your comfort zone. But let's dive into it. I know this is probably not specifically what you signed up for. So Christians, let's get to you. Let's get to you. Let's talk a little bit about the work that we did. I've already mentioned, right, you went through, with your organization, you went through a transformational change. You went through a regionalization of your entire team. Do you want to say a little bit more about that? And also, what are some of the challenges that you were facing, or that your team was facing going through this change?
Yes, Barbara. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Barbara, for inviting me. So, Alcon is a medical device company. Just to give you a few indication, we have a revenue of 10 billion worldwide, and we are 26,000 employees. And I would say it's a pretty dynamic company. So I work in the surgical franchise. And let's say that usually we are keen of improving the way of working every 2/3 years. But I'm leading a department inside of the surgical organization, which is pretty stable, okay? So we provide service. Service means installation of the new medical device to the hospital, to the clinic. We control the machine and we repair the machine when is needed, and is a function that is delivering an outstanding, work for the customer. But last year, so in reality, we started almost 2 years ago with a sort of big reorganization in order to optimize the way of working, etc., etc. And this was a complete new thing for my team. My team is basically formed by engineers. So I think that if you were thinking before, when you were jumping up and down in the living, I was in my kitchen. That was a very weird situation. You can imagine myself in front of my team, which is pretty much structured and organized doing this, but they love this. This is one of the things that I'll share later, we keep in our memories. And, it was a big reorganization, and I needed to have, my leaders, the people that are leading the people in the country on board, understanding, embracing the change and be able to transfer, the reason why the company wanted to go in a certain direction. And I was not there because people were scared, people were not understanding the reason. Probably we lack also a little bit of leadership in my organization, etc., etc. And I couldn't do it by myself. It was such a big change that I started looking also outside. In Geneva mainly, to look for a company that was able to support this kind of change, to help the people, not just to run a few days workshop, motivating the team, but let them understand why. Let them understand why we need a leader, what is a leader, how we can become a better leader, and something that was more sustainable, okay? Because most of the trainings I've been attending they last a few days and then you forget completely. And I wanted really to impact them and to support them to become more resilient, to become more senior, to become more open to change, and also to be able to feel in a safe space where they can share, what they like about the change, what they didn't like, in order to work together and fine-tune, the things that needed to be implemented in a proper way. That was a little bit the situation we were a couple of years ago.
Excellent. Well, you've already already answered some of my questions because I was going to, no, it's perfect. I was going to ask, right, why you wanted to work with somebody external. Like maybe you can expand a little bit more, like why you were looking, because you managed to change internally, right? But like, why were you looking for external support as well?
Yeah, because, we as an organization, we have very clear in our head where we want to go and how we wanted to design the future, function, okay? But this is business, and we know how to run the business. Then you have a big factor, which are the people, and you cannot be successful if you design a perfect strategy, but you don't implement. And in order to implement things in a proper way, you need to have the organization following you. You need to have, your leaders fully believing that this is the right thing, or have the courage to step up and say, okay, Christian, look, I like, X% of your vision, but watch out, because there are certain things that we believe they're not going to work. Okay, and to create this safe environment, we needed someone externally that is doing this as every day as a job, that knows how to communicate with people properly, that was supporting us creating workshop and situation where we could share in a safe area what we really think about the new organization. And we didn't have, honestly, beside the fact we have a very good team inside of Alcon, we didn't have this expertise. HR partially had something, change management team, but then they are focused on bigger projects, so they didn't have time. So, and I didn't want to fail, because it's a super strategic function inside of the organization, and we needed to implement this change in a proper way.
Excellent. Can you say what were some of the specific outcomes that you were looking for?
Look, I wanted to help my leaders to become more resilient in a healthy way. Just not accept everything because someone is telling them to do things, but understanding why sometimes you need to push a little bit harder or do the extra mile. We wanted to, create a safe environment, and on this, I really believe I incentivize my organization to share what they think, either they like or don't like, because otherwise, if we don't fail immediately, we will fail in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, because we have implemented something that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And if you don't work with, with the trusted team, it's very complicated. We wanted to create, a positive, let's say, environment, and that's probably the third thing that we were looking for. I think that I'm not missing anything.
Excellent. So let me briefly share with you guys, like who are listening, what the solution looked like at a very, very high level. And if you're interested during Q&A, I'm more than happy to go into more details, but at a very high level, how we supported the team. And when Christian talks about, I said, right, his overall organization is 200 people, but we worked really with he has 7 senior leaders within his organization, and 13 additional people managers, right? So it was about a team of 20 people that we truly worked with, and we supported that team over the course of over 6 months, right? So it was also, so change takes a long time, and so we supported the team over 6 months. It was a combination of both meeting in person, but then also monthly online sessions to just stay with the team, to be on the pulse of what's happening, to know what's going on, and to making sure. Christian talked about sustainability. 2-hour workshop doesn't solve the problem and does not provide sustainable change. And in terms of like the approach that we use, we use an approach that is based on appreciative inquiry and design thinking. That's how we design the program, and that's how we facilitate the program to really increase the psychological safety of the team, increase collaboration among the team in the way that everything is structured and how we bring people in. And that's also what's generating the buy-in, right? Because people need to have a stake in the ground in the change, because otherwise it's definitely not going to last, and it's not sustainable, but it's also not going to work, because people tell us, as Christian said, like, somebody just tells you what to do. That usually doesn't fly with human beings. And then, of course, and you've already experienced that a little bit, and that was just a tiny part of what we're doing. But what we did is called intensati. We're using mind-body connection movement. We're using mindfulness to give people more resilience, but also to give them an experience of like what it means to go through the change, right? To make that shift from resistance. What is this? Christian mentioned he heads up a team full of engineers. They looked at me as if I had 3 heads when we went through this, because they're like, what are you doing with us? This is horrendous. And after we did it, we repeated it times and times again, to showcase. In the beginning, there is resistance. It is new, but then we get used to it, and then we accept it. And actually, when we learn to change our minds, then we can even thrive, even in an uncomfortable situation, because we learn to change our mindset. We learn that we cannot control our circumstances, but we can control how we respond.
And Barbara, if I can add something, I mean, we created a better bond. I mean, because you can imagine, group of engineers is pretty much, close, very, very calm, etc., etc. And these activities really open up the people. And, the last day, I still remember, I couldn't believe it. We had a dinner, etc., etc. And they were, reproducing this act, singing, and I was filming, and I think that I sent the video to you, Barbara, because I really couldn't believe, because when I've been working with them now 4.5 years, but until 1.5 years ago, I never saw this side of some of the people I'm working with. And this was amazing, because also the relation I have now with them is completely changed. I mean, it's improved much more.
Excellent. Obviously, that makes me, and it is still true to this day, right? And we did this in November last year, so almost like a year after. Yeah. Excellent. So some of the specific outcomes also, like, I want to share that we've measured, but so it's both quantitative as well as qualitative feedback in terms of what we've achieved together, and Christian has already mentioned some of it, but he did say, right, those leaders, they had a mandate to lead their teams through the change, and so 100% of them, they all increased their confidence to do that throughout the 6 months we worked together. We certainly increased like the positive mindset, the can-do attitude, and to Christian's point, like lasting bond between the team or among the team. And some of you might do that as well, right? You have yearly engagement surveys. I know actually another company who's here, they use Glint, so to run a yearly survey and then pulse surveys. Christian went through a massive transformation. They were taking the engagement survey before and afterwards, and all of his results continued to be positive. And they, like, Christian, you shared with me, and I hope you don't mind sharing.
The engagement rate was basically the same. It didn't change. I had my media review with my line manager, my boss, and we discussed this, and he was surprised. He told me, "Look, with the change you were able to implement in January, and normally the employees, they are reflecting how they feel with Glint. It looks like nothing happened, And on this, I think that we did a good job. We did a good job, before, in order to be able to reach these results.
And then the last, actually a very tangible outcome, was because after we worked together throughout these online sessions, we checked in, what do you need support with? Where do we need to dive a little deeper? And one thing that came up is it was very clear that we needed to set some parameters and put an SOP and some KPIs in place around what does collaboration and communication within the team look like. So we co-created with the senior leaders, we co-created an SOP and KPIs. What does success look like for good communication and collaboration, to ensure everybody is very clear, to make sure this is how it works to maintain and sustain that success post the transition. So those were some of the outcomes that we've achieved, and a high-level overview of the solution. What are some of the lasting effects, Christian, that you're seeing with your team post our engagement?
I think that one of the major change was linked to this, openness. We know each other much better, and I have much more active monthly leadership team meeting compared to the past. Okay, I think that people, they feel safe to share things, and because after dancing together, there is nothing more that can be done. So we reach a very good level of intimacy. No, but this is, I think, that the most important part for me. Really, openness, proactiveness, transparency. And collaboration, increase, and they're still there. And I'm really happy about how we are working now.
Excellent. Anything else, Christian, you would like to share that we maybe haven't talked about, or is on your mind, or? No, before we move into Q&A.
I think that we probably can leave at the Q&A. Also for me was the part that I have to be very honest. I was not 100% sure was this intensity things, because it's not something that I do when I go to the office or I ever done before. And I realized that pushing also myself, going to do things that are pretty much uncomfortable, also for me, helped me, a lot, and that's something that I discovered myself as well.
And I want to make sure I put it a little bit into perspective, right? Because obviously, by giving you an experience of what Intensati is and by sharing it, we supported the team for 6 months. It wasn't that we did Intensati for 6 months. It was right. So I think it's important to mention that was one element of like how we brought the team together, how we had them collaborate. But clearly, it has had a very it was very impactful. So I just want to make sure that you don't get the wrong idea of thinking like we've been dancing for 6 months. That was not the case. All right. So I would love to open it up for questions. As I said, we're happy to go into more details of what that solution actually looked like. I just gave you very high level parameters, but I would love to open up the floor, and feel free to raise your digital hand or just unmute, and yeah, let's hear your questions. Yeah, Rob, please go ahead.
Yeah, so you said you were engaged for 6 months. So what was kind of the flow and the cadence of those 6 months? Like what was the, at a high level, what were the touch points over that period?
Absolutely. So I want to say there are two ways, right? So on the one hand, there is there is a behind the scenes in terms of touch points and what the engagements look like, and there is a front of the house what the team got to experience. And in terms of like what the team got to experience, we did 2 online sessions up front and actually in those 2 sessions ahead of time, we identified like the values and behaviors that the leaders needed to exhibit to successfully lead through the change, make a commitment how they can lead through the change. Then in the second session, we reviewed the agenda of the in-person meeting, and we wanted to hear all the concerns people had so that we could take that in. Then we had a 2-day in-person meeting where we really collaborated, where we created a shared vision for the team, where we heard every single voice. Everybody was actively participating. And then we had 3 more sessions on the back end, and those were spaced out every month to deep dive, to review what we've done, to identify where they need more support, and then also where we've co-created the SAP and the KPI. And of course, that is the front of the house, if you will. On the back end, Christian and I, we had check-ins on a regular basis. We did surveys to make sure that we knew what was going on in people's heads. So there is a sleuth of behind-the-scenes work as well that went on.
Yeah, and I think that another important part, Barbara, was that you fit and you align perfectly with HR and the culture that we wanted to deliver. So in Alcon, we cannot just work with all external supplier and run all the meetings we want. So we need to stick on the guidelines we have to ensure that the message on the culture is being respected. So at the beginning, we had meetings with HR, myself, and other key stakeholders of this project to make sure that we were aligned on this part. And then, as Barbara mentioned, we tackle different groups of people, okay? Because, starting from myself, my direct reports were the first group of people we engage with in order to run certain activities and make sure that before going to their direct report and the direct report of the direct report, we were, having them on board. Okay, and this was crucial for the overall success of the project.
Yes, thank you so much, Christian. I forgot about that. Sonia, hello, welcome. We're in the Q&A part. So Dennis, you had a question.
Yes, Barbara and Christian. Christian, you mentioned a bit about, as you were trying to get this change in motion, some incentives or incentivization of the staff. You've got your staff in terms of your direct reports, so individuals, you've got the entire team of leaders, and then you've got your 200 people organization. How did you look at the incentives to create the commitment and to align that with what your desired outcomes were? What were the incentives? Thinking process there.
There were no financial incentives. Honestly, it was more to work on a common vision and mission that we all have to work on and have their commitment, because the company, probably is working in the same way in most of the multinational. When they decide to change something, they decide. and the issue is when you are working in a technical field or department, and you cannot run the risk to lose 50% of your top leaders. So that's why we decided to go outside, because we needed to have them embracing the new journey, but at the same time being convinced. Because, as I said before, you can have people telling you, yes, I'm gonna do it, and then when you go live in a few weeks is a disaster. If and this is the strong part we did, is really to work on first listening the not the complaints, but the fears that some of my direct report had. Try to address, because there were certain things we could change and made a lot of sense to implement in a different way. There were other things that I couldn't not compromise. I had to do what respect the plan, but then I needed to have them on board. So the incentive was honestly, to achieve a point where I had 90% of them, align with the direction where we wanted to go. Explaining, and be vulnerable as well. Things that I had answer, yes. Other things I didn't have answer. Other things we had to do, and there are no discussion. Other things where, okay, fine, we can change. We can do it in a different way. And we did this exercise at different levels. So the first part was with my direct report. Once we have, myself and the direct report aligned, we run the same exercise with the level below, and we fine tune. But I had 90% of of the support of my organization, or the leader of my organization. But this was also perceived extremely well, because it was the first time someone running a huge transformation really spend time listening, to the people, and explaining why, not once, not twice, maybe 5 times, or changing things based on the feedback we were achieving. So this workshop was run in November, and we went live in January, and from November to January we changed multiple things because of the feedback I received from my direct report, and that we received from the level below them.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Who else? Any questions about the program, the change?
Christian,
Sabi, yes, please.
Yeah, Christian, this is Sabi. Quick question. You mentioned that this was a transformation, which was a regionalization. Did the regionalization impact any jobs within the 200 or within the 20 leaders? Because that can make it much more difficult.
Yeah, that's why it was not a simple project. This regionalization impacted on I would say, okay, I don't want to give numbers. Yeah, but a high percentage of the back office department. Okay, so high means more than 30%. So this is why it was complicated, because you can imagine that when you impact on the people. My organization is composed by people that are been working in Alcon since more than 15 years. So then the relation is not anymore a working relation; is becoming a sort of friendly. Family relation, because you see the people for 15, 20 years, and yeah, it was complicated also for this reason, because people are not used to change, and they are not used to see things in different way. Because if they have done this for 10 years, 15 years, why do I have to change? On top of that, why do I have to change? And I have to lose my best buddy that I've been working with for long time. It was quite complicated.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Excellent. We have a question in the chat from Christine. Christian, what was the trigger point for you to take this approach, especially as it was a first?
I think that this is probably linked to myself and the journey, the personal journey I have been through in the past 5 or 6 years. I noticed that if you really spend time and explain things and make the people understand why, okay, then they can accept or not. But if you are genuine, then you achieve things in a different way. I could have honestly implemented without spending money, time, energy, because honestly when you have to reduce the number of employees, which was not really the case, but when you get rid of a sizable number of people, which you also know, because I know most of them, emotionally wise, yes, I know it was the right decision, but it's not easy to take this decision. And this is why I decided to work in a different way and try to probably do it in a more difficult way for myself, because I put a lot of energy and time. But I'm sure that the people appreciate it. And probably the Glint survey is one of the main indicators that is telling us. Also, some of my leaders, they told me after the implementation, look, I was not 100% convinced, but now, honestly, I see why we are doing this. A few months ago, again, they told me, because they are skeptical. I mean, that's the point.
Excellent. Great question. Peter, sorry, noisy environment. Christian, did you have any leeway to shape the required change, or were you tasked to implement a predefined solution?
No, I designed everything from A to Z. And I was the one going to my senior management, telling them I want to reduce. And they were telling me, are you sure? Probably one of the first case, it was not a top-down decision, but I involved my direct reports, and we came up to the numbers together. I just had this vision on how I foresee the new structure, okay? And then, in terms of how to structure it, how many people, etc., it was a common decision. And this is probably was the key of the success, because it was not Christian's decision. It was the decision, once the team was aligned, it was the decision of the Europe leadership team of the service and support organization.
Excellent.
I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Makes perfect sense. Sonia, please.
I apologize for being late. My question is, were there specific risks that were considered before the change, and risk mitigation that helped to get the result that you expected?
So risks, a lot. Because to give you a sense of what we have done, we move out people from the country, and we created an hub in order to run a certain number of activities. Okay, in a function where everything was going perfectly well. okay? But it didn't have sense the way it was structured. So when I noticed that it didn't have sense the way we were structured, then I proposed this. And the risk were, you have people that knows the business in and out for 15 years that you lose. And you are hiring a person that is brand new and is based in a country where there is a high turnover of people because they change from one company to the other. And you need also to create a different culture there, okay? You have a risk where my function is basically flying under the radar of executives because we do things well. And no one is hearing us or is calling us unless we need to install by the end of the quarter or by the end of the year. And then if we miss top line, then you hear executives shouting, or there is a customer with that cannot operate and is another. And, I took the risk of changing, the way of working with a high percentage of being more visible in a negative way to my leadership, organization at international level. So yeah, mitigation, we really try to calculate, analyze all the possible options. There were things that didn't go as expected, but it was really a little noise because we spent so much time together and we involve all the people at different level of the organization, going from the field service engineer up to the European manager. That honestly we were able to fix it extremely fast. And no one noticed anything from the 31st of December to January 1st, and now it's running super well.
Excellent. Thank you. Elaine.
Sure. I had a question regarding the sustainability of it and what you have done intentionally, right? You spoke about having KPIs, but I'm curious if when you made such a significant change and cultural change, have you done anything intentional for sustainability, or you just kind of had a new way of working and have moved forward with that?
Intentionally is everything we have done. It was planned and studied and and reviewed millions of times because, as I said, look, if you don't go deep in the relation in the mind of your people, it doesn't last. In a few weeks you are back to where you were before, and even worse. They could have used this against me, that I was implementing because you know what? At a certain point, they could have said, "We told you could not do this. You wanted to go ahead, and now nothing is working. Your problem, not my problem." And, that's why we spent months, because we started discussing this, officially and unofficially between May and June of last year, at least. And then, it was quite intense, because there are the official meetings we did with the team, but tons of other calls that we had, because things were not going in the right direction, because people were not convinced, because we had to, rerun, a certain conversation or review certain processes to be sure that it was a sustainable change. And another thing that is confirming this is, the fact that, I don't run from one job to another. I usually tell my leaders that I want to stay minimum 3 years. The first year I learn, the second year I start implementing things. The third year is a validation of what I have done. And, my boss is, running much faster. It's his choice, but, I'm here, and this year is my face if something is not going in the right direction. and I'm the one bringing, the things on the table again. Because for him, it was done in September, before even the implementation. No, you have done everything. No, I have done nothing. It's a very complicated project. So,
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for all the great questions, and I hope you got some value out of the answers and what we've shared. I did say at the beginning, I would love for you guys to take 1 minute to share or complete a survey. It's part of what we do. I put it on the, actually, here we go. I pin it. That's Google Meets is new to me. Usually we use Zoom, but sometimes people have firewalls, so we're finding workarounds.
exactly, I have one.
Exactly. So I would love for you to take a moment actually right now, because we all know how it is. It's like out of sight, out of mind. So we have that planned in as part of the event for you to complete the survey in this moment. I'm going to play some music and take a minute. It's 3 questions. Here we go. Oh, it didn't work?
No, I mean, for me, it doesn't work.
That is a no. That is not great at all. Let me see if I can fix this in real time.
Barbara, I have it.
It works for you?
Yeah, it works for me as well.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's
for me too, yeah.
Maybe it's another firewall story. Goodness. Oh, well. For those of you who cannot complete it, no problem. It works for you. Okay, great. Excellent.
You could always email it, I suppose.
Can always email. That's true. I can always, yes, absolutely. I will do that. All right.
I kind of like Google Meet. It's actually works pretty well. It seems pretty user friendly and
it does.
Good option.
The only thing, what it doesn't do in this version, it doesn't do breakout rooms. And I love to do breakout rooms because it brings another level of exchange to the event. And usually that is part of because that's how we work with a lot of breakout rooms, because that's the only way, right? And we talked a lot about hearing everybody's voices, doing a lot of listening and sharing with each other. And so that's part of the not so secret sauce. Right. All right. So thank you so much for filling those out. And I'd love to end, just take a couple minutes on what were some of the takeaways for you? What did you find valuable? What was helpful? Doesn't have to be your TED Talk, but maybe a couple things. I'd love to hear from 1 or 2 or 3 of you to close us out. Also, feel free to put it in here. Elaine, please.
I thought it was a great example of change. I particularly appreciated the planning effort and the engagement with the team, and seeing, and I think, Christian, you putting yourself in a place that made yourself vulnerable by making yourself uncomfortable, and then set that expectation with everyone else.
Yeah. Great observation. Sabi, did you want to share? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Dennis, go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to echo what was just said by Elaine, and I really liked the testimonial by Christian and the question he asked or answered about risk. I thought that was very, he revealed some personal sensitivities, and I thought that was very worthwhile.
Excellent. Peter is saying change only works if people are part of the change and co-own it. Exactly. Yeah. Same sentiment.
Not enough people take the time to lead their people through change, right? People just sometimes just do it and expect everyone just to come along. So it's a great example of taking the effort, which.
Yeah, but at the end, we are leaders. I mean, we need to lead by example. Otherwise, it's just a nice speech, and I'm not really good in speeches. I'm more a practical person. So I show by doing things, also by dancing. It's true that it's not. I keep going back to this. We didn't spend much time on this. For me, it was extremely uncomfortable, honestly.
Right.
I'm sure. And, in front of my organization, I was feeling, not well. But then at the end, I love it. So
excellent. Sonia saying it sounds like Christian listened to feedback and adjusted the plan based on feedback. Yes, 100% he did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Excellent. Right. Anybody else? Nobody has to, but I just want to make sure. Usually, and that is something we discovered, and I know that to be true, those people who are a little shyer, they require a few more invitations to speak up. And that's why I always ask numerous times, right? And I always say, like, if you feel that quiver, should I not go for it? Because once it's out there, something extraordinary can happen. But it's also totally fine if nobody wants to say anything else. Excellent. Christian, do you have anything else you'd like to add, you'd like to share?
No, I think that I share quite a lot. I hope it was insightful for you. I'm sorry I couldn't give you. Normally, when I present, I use data because that can help detach a little bit from the emotion and really assess the real improvement. But as you can imagine, is confidential, internal of my organization. It was an excellent collaboration. So, I mean, for me, I believe that that's the right way of doing things. So,
good. Well, I want to thank everyone, specifically Christian. Yes, I agreed. It was an excellent collaboration. It is a pleasure to work with people like Christian because, as you've experienced, we do things a little differently, and either you love it or you hate it. It's not for everyone. That is very clear. But we're doing it very successfully in a different, but also in a very human way, right? And that is something that is very important. Change is a constant, and it's a skill that we need to build to be able to become more resilient, to be able to navigate it. And when we're able to do that, we're able to recognize that change can actually be something that inspires growth in ourselves, but also in organizations, because organizations are made up of people. So the stronger the individuals are, the stronger the organizations are. And that's where magic can happen if we allow it. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I will send out the replay and a recording as well as a recap, so you don't have to go through the whole hour. Again, please do feel free to reach out and get in touch. We're also happy to share more about this project, other projects that we're doing, in general, sharing how we work and what we offer. And yes, I don't have a final date yet for our next event. I know it's going to be at the end of August, early September. I'm finalizing the date with a speaker, not insights based on real life experience and insights that we have generated, but I will be interviewing and having a conversation with a data and AI specialist at Google, because what we hear a lot is like, how is AI impacting organizations? What's going to happen? And I think that's a very interesting conversation, both for myself, but also something that I hear from people. And so that's what we'll be doing next time. And I'll be keeping you posted on the date and the exact topic. So thanks so much for being here, and have a great rest of your day, or a good evening if you're based in Europe. And I'll see you hopefully soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.